You don't need an engineer to tell you that America's roads, bridges, railways, and airports need some major help. Our infrastructure is crumbling, and it could cost $1.5 trillion over the next 5 years to head off a crisis. Here's CBS News correspondent Benno Schmidt.
If anyone knows how to avoid horrors like the fatal bridge collapse in Minnesota, it's this man.
I saw the West Side Highway fall.
A former engineer for New York City, Sam Schwartz stresses ignoring maintenance is dumb and even deadly.
When infrastructure declines, we're going to become a second-rate country.
He's working to figure out what went wrong in Minnesota and how road closures like this headache in Philadelphia could have been avoided with minimal costs. Schwartz showed us potential electrical problems, subway fire hazards, flooded subterranean vaults, and more.
Something is going on below the road. That's why the road is disappearing.
After the bridge collapse, he wrote an editorial in the New York Times, warning, "We must become religious about basic maintenance, and bridges are machines with movable parts. They need to be cleaned regularly." Even icons like the mighty Brooklyn Bridge aren't immune from the ravages of time. Locals say construction is nearly constant here, and the bridge is set for a major overhaul in 2 years. Not a moment too soon for residents.
Let's face it, most of the infrastructure of this country was built during Roosevelt's time in the New Deal.
Blackouts are another indicator of infrastructure failure, and they in turn put more stress on roads and bridges.
The bridge was so crowded that at one point, the walkway, it started swaying.
Debbie Prince saw her life swaying in the balance. Northeast drivers have seen VW-sized holes in roads caused by overuse and neglect.
Your front tire goes into that. I went over my handlebars at 25 miles an hour on Fifth Avenue.
Experts say government and private companies have to team up on minimal maintenance before tragedies claim lives. For The Early Show, Benno Schmidt, CBS News, New York.
Let's get more from David Mongan, president of the American Society of Civil Engineers. He's in Washington, D.C. for us this morning. David, good morning.
Good morning.
How bad are things that we need $1.5 trillion just to fix our current state of affairs?
No matter where you live, there are critical infrastructure issues. In some cities, bridges, roads, power lines, pipelines are simply too old. In others, the explosive population growth has outpaced infrastructure's ability to satisfy the needs. We have underinvested in infrastructure for decades. We need to recognize that ignoring the problem won't make it go away.
Give the nation a report card right now. Where do we stand at this moment if you had to issue a report card like the reports you've done in the past?
The 2005 report card shows a grade of D for the overall nation's infrastructure. And since then, there have been some minor improvements, but the level of funding for infrastructure simply hasn't significantly changed.
Now, it's not only the crumbling infrastructure that's a problem, but it's a lack of infrastructure. Now, the Texas Transportation Institute says this nation wastes 58 supertankers fully loaded with gas a year and people just stuck in traffic.
There is a major economic impact for lack of improvements or expansion of our infrastructure. The impact on the U.S. economy of congestion alone is over $78 billion in wasted time and fuel. When you have a major system failure, such as the blackout in 2003 or the recent levee failures in Nevada, the cost rises exponentially.
All right, David, we've got less than a minute here. Let's talk about some solutions right now and some of the things you talk about: developing comprehensive national infrastructure plans, building transit-oriented communities, and demanding political leadership. Just give me a brief explainer on those three elements.
We need a national, comprehensive, long-term infrastructure development and maintenance plan. We need to also examine the funding required for these major projects. We need to enact the National Infrastructure Improvement Act and the National Infrastructure Banking Act. These are essential to meeting our goals.
And real quickly, if I can just ask you, how nervous should this nation be right now? I've got 10 seconds, real quick here.
You shouldn't be nervous, but you need to recognize that this continued underinvestment will only mean that the state of the nation's infrastructure will continue to decline.
All right, David Mongan, thanks so much for joining us live from Washington this morning.